Hi, welcome back. Good evening. I should probably title my show something. It's some, you know, things that I've been thinking about to try to improve this stuff, but it's whatever. Look at all of this, guys. Crazy, crazy movement from Bitcoin, breaking out of whatever you thought was going to be an all-time high. We've reached a new one, and that number is 118,869, which we reached early in the morning today, around 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. So that's really, really good stuff, of course. Everybody's in profit. If you're in Bitcoin, you're in profit. So congratulations. One sec, let me disconnect my phone because it's already fully charged. All right. So what do we got now? Bitcoin is kind of consolidated at the top area once again. Waiting to see if we just decide to keep on rising. I really hope we do. At least I'm expecting some altcoins to continue rising. I feel like Solana's a bit late to the party compared to the rest, but it's fine nonetheless. We're still looking good. Bitcoin is current price at 117,418. Like, we just completely skipped whatever this is, 112 to 116,000. Like, those numbers never existed. Like, it just went up that fast. Very fast. That's why I always say, you should already have exposition to Bitcoin, because there are usually days where Bitcoin will just rise so much in a day. Yesterday and today were those days, by the way, that, you'd miss out on most of those gains. So you'd already have to be in Bitcoin already to, take advantage of those gains. So that's what we got so far. Super trend is just spiking up. It's at 110,000, continuing with the uptrend, of course. And I think we could ignore these liquidation levels. Will we ever see 104,000 again? It feels like we won't. I mean, hey, we probably could. Bitcoin has shown weakness in the past. It can absolutely happen again, right? Never forget what happened over here. 70,000. Yeah, it was possible. So there you go. Keep that in mind. But while we're up here, we'll not look back. We'll celebrate. We'll take some profits. Me personally, though, well, I don't have any Bitcoin, so what am I talking about profits? I'm still very much in altcoins right now, though. So if I was going to be taking any sort of profits, that's where I would be doing that. But yeah, for the time being, we're just relaxing with Bitcoin all the way up here. This was some shorts getting liquidated as well, and also I would agree that a lot of this area over here, although there wasn't too many shorts, there were still short positions that were getting liquidated, which obviously do help push the price upward. The impulse, the optimism of the market, the risk of appetite, it's there. So, markets take advantage of that. This was practically inevitable. I pointed this out to you guys. We saw S&P 500 at all-time highs, NASDAQ at all-time highs. When was Bitcoin going to be hitting all-time highs? At that time, we were like around over here. It took us a while, but we eventually did it, and we did it better than any other asset hitting all-time high in recent times. I'm talking specifically during this month. So it's been pretty good so far. Are we done rising? I would say we aren't. We still got some room to run before we reach our actual resistance here at 122,000. That is where I will put a temporary target for now. I'd expect some choppiness and maybe even some down movement back to maybe even where we currently are right now, right? That's only like a 3% drop for Bitcoin, which it's such a massive asset, and moving this amount, it feels like it's nothing. I feel like we're getting to that kind of movement that we would expect from something like gold, right? Especially because gold was 10 times bigger than Bitcoin. Now it's probably something like 9 times if we're getting mathematical there, because the market cap of Bitcoin, of course, has risen. Or maybe this is just the supply and demand effect. I mean, I've also been showing you guys that in the past as well. Look at the Bitcoin balance on exchanges. It keeps on dropping. The whales, they're not selling. One person who had $8 billion worth of Bitcoin, good thing he didn't sell. He was just moving some Bitcoin around, wallet maintenance. And it worked out in his favor, right? Good thing he's still holding on to that, and I think he probably will still hold on to that even while Bitcoin is at $1 million. Oh. Yeah, who knows what the payout would be by then. It's going to be pretty significant, though. So, what do we got next here? I have a position open on pump.fun. I know the token is not out. When did I open this? Did I open this live? I don't remember when I did this, if I did it online or on stream or not. Where do I see when I bought this? Why won't it tell me? I guess I'll go trade history. Okay, this is where it says. Yeah, so it didn't do this live. I opened this position on pump.fun because I saw that the pre-launch for it is on here. I shared this on my Discord, but, you know, it's gonna officially be coming out tomorrow. So I'm a bit early to the party, and I'm expecting pump.fun to grow significantly because I mean it is a very popular platform. It's what a lot of people will be using to launch Solana meme coins. Oh, I am yawning like crazy. Why? Why when I have to start streaming I start yawning? I guess I'm just so boring that I just yawn. Anyway, decided to enter right over here yesterday night, and since then I have not seen any negative number, which is a good thing. And well, what else do we got? I put another trigger order down over here and another one over here just in case it gets liquidated. The funding fees don't seem to be that crazy at all. Like, this is harmless funding fee every 4 hours, like a penny every 4 hours. Very, very harmless. In total, I'm paying 21 cents in commission, including the maker-taker fee, so that's fine. Like I said, once this starts launching on major exchanges, it's just going to gain more and more traction. Like, if I ask you a question, how would you launch a meme coin? You're immediately going to think of pump.fun. So the utility is there. It just makes sense. I know it's probably people would use it in bad faith. It's just a tool, right? You can use it to launch meme coins, whether you use it for good or bad. Same thing as literally everything else in life. It is just a tool. Depends on the way that you use it for good or bad. But I still have faith in the project nonetheless. So that's why I've even reinforced some positions over here just in case, right? But it hasn't gone negative ever since. And with the growth that we're seeing with Bitcoin, that of course is that sentiment is flowing into altcoins. We should be seeing a decent rise. I do want to also check Bitcoin dominance. Another thing that I've been keeping track of, where it's Bitcoin compared to the rest of the altcoins. And this is a really, really good sign, by the way. We saw it peak over here at 66%, and I remember sharing this with you guys, literally 26th of June. People were scared of altcoins. Nobody wanted to hold an altcoin. Everything was very, very low. Bitcoin was the only thing that stayed above 100,000, or maybe around that area. This was probably 99,000 what Bitcoin was hit because of the World War III fears. So people were just turning to Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin is the safest. It's not going to drop as much as the altcoins. The altcoins everybody was dumping. Well, now that has flipped on its head. We don't have any war in the Middle East for now. So we've kind of been recovering from that. Bitcoin dominance dropped from 66% to 64.5%. I know it doesn't seem like a big percentage difference, but this is probably a good sign for starters that alt season is probably on its way very soon, around the corner. It's going to happen. So hopeful for that. Do also want to talk about Ethereum. We hit 3,000. It happened, finally. And that was one of the levels I was very much paying close attention to. It's psychological level of $3,000. So we did it. We hit $3,039.89 is what it shows on my provider. I was expecting this to be a resistance, but clearly not. It was just from a high point that we saw over here. We just blew past that completely. I feel like if we're talking about resistances, it looks like the slowdown was around over here, where we have resistance from pivot and Fibonacci level, roughly around that zone. We're now oscillating around 2,962 is the current price of Ethereum, and uptrend is still maintained. Super trend invalidates 2,613. That has been flattened. It should be back on the rise soon, though. So keep an eye out on that. I would determine maybe this area from this peak, 2,636 to resistance 1, 2,672. That is probably where we will see a support if worse comes to worse. Like, I don't know, an atomic bomb explodes. No, that is an extreme case, but you get the point, right? Something terrible, terrible happens. Like, we could see a drop of up to that percentage, 9%, 10% for Ethereum. We'd still be fine, though. We would still be in an uptrend, which is the beautiful thing about it. Realistically, though, if we're considering this 2,932 as our current support, if we break that, you're looking at 2,788. 2,800 is probably what I would pay more attention to as a support. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Solana, like I said, it had a good run, decent. 168 is what it reached, ultimately the highest point. Currently at 163, it dropped to 159. I feel like Solana, why didn't it run up so much? I feel like it, people are seeing what happens with Ethereum first before they start entering other coins like Solana or Sui, I would say. Although Sui has been doing really, really well. I'll get to it when we get to it. Let's talk about XRP. It's up 9% currently, so it's still on the rise. Slowed down over here at 297. Crazy spike up in price for XRP. We've came down from that. 24-hour low is at 252, and the current price is 277. So high volatility for XRP finally, and the 230 breakout that we were struggling to come out of, it was well worth it. And that's the thing about XRP, is that it's just such a low volatility coin until it's not, until it just suddenly spikes up in price like crazy. And that's ultimately what happened here. And these are the times where you have to take advantage of it, because then you're going to see XRP do something like this, where it slowly depreciates, but probably, well, hopefully continue this uptrend, right? That's at least what I'm expecting, because I don't think the up movement is over, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get something like this. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the rise is not over. This is the first red candle we have seen since 9th of July, so in 4-hour chart at least. If you're looking at a daily chart, this is just non-stop green candles, except for maybe today, a bit of a doji candle. 1, 2, 3 consecutive green days. Fine, we'll give you that. Next, let's talk about Sui. Also, great movement, reaching a high of 357. I'll quickly, why haven't I adjusted these uptrends? I was looking at these levels for liquidations for longs. That didn't happen, thankfully. So I would adjust this over here. Uptrend, it's still valid. Downtrend has been broken. Super trend invalidates at 301 officially. That is good. $3 is a great support. This resistance was completely broken out of. Do I have this? No, I don't. I will simply readjust the resistance levels for Fibonacci, which should now be from the high we saw on 12th of May, which we reached a high of 429, towards the low point that we reached 22nd of June when we hit 229. In that case, these levels do coincide better. We do see that resistance over here at 353 in Fibonacci, 355 in pivot resistance 3, and highest point ultimately, like I said, 357. We've came back down from that. This unfortunately hit one of the stop loss levels for me. It wasn't too much money though. I don't mind it. Like I went long. I'm very long in a lot of altcoins, and I'm putting stop losses manually, kind of like a trailing stop loss as they go, but I'm the one that determines the distance. I guess I miscalculated this one or whatever. It hit that stop loss. Only one so far. I still have plenty of other positions, about like 60, that are still active and running. This Sui price is at 343 currently, and I don't feel like we're going to stop here. Our next stop, of course, is going to be this downtrend, and when it breaks this downtrend, it's over. It's going to explode like crazy. I have so much confidence in that, but I don't want to be too ambitious with it. But I still feel like, what is going to stop crypto from rising? Altcoins do deserve to be a lot higher. They've had higher market caps than what they currently have now. What's not the reason of, buying into these? Maybe people are losing faith, although I doubt it. But, you know, it's just going to take some time before, the gains become contagious to the altcoins, and they'll start rising inevitably as well. Cardano also a top winner from here. Similar breakout explosive movement to XRP. These were just sleeping giants, you could say, right? People started gaining faith in Cardano once again. Especially after it looked like Kronos was going to be stealing its spot or something, especially with the Truth Social blue chip crypto ETF that was coming out. It didn't include Cardano, and it included Kronos instead, which made Kronos pump like 20%. But yeah, that's a separate issue now. Cardano is still genuinely a good project. Charles Hoskinson still doing good stuff, probably getting involved with the government as well, so there's still plans there. Supertrend invalidates at 60 cents. We reached a high of Cardano at 77. Lowest point we hit in 24 hours, 67, and our current price is 72. False breakout maybe from this downtrend, honestly speaking. I'd say that's pretty good breakout. I mean, it's weakened for sure. Like, this is inevitable. It's going to break out of this very, very soon. We stopped at that fifth resistance, the highest point that we have drawn on, well, not drawn, set by pivot levels for this week. So, hey, that's pretty good stuff, if you ask me. Litecoin, 0.66%. A big sell-off also happened here, unfortunately, but same stuff over here. Great explosive growth. We reached a high of 98, almost hitting 100. That would have been great. Low point, 24 hours, 92.65, and the current price is 95.03. Really good stuff for Litecoin still. I am still kind of negative, like in my positions with Litecoin, though. Whatever. Supertrend invalidates at 87, so uptrend still obviously prevails. Really good stuff going on. And yeah. That is what we got for the cryptography. A little bit of technical analysis. What am I still expecting? Here's the thing. Saturdays, you see what happens on Saturdays. This flatness over here. This flatness over here, also Saturday. It's going to be a low volatility day. Not much is going to happen. It's fine. I'm okay with that. We will be, with our low volatility, but at the very, very top. Almost very, very top. Some altcoins have come down a little bit. Bitcoin is still hovering at the top. Like, we're just 1,000 away. That's literally nothing. $1,000 movement for Bitcoin is just normal every day, right? So that's fine. Sunday, of course, we will start to see some movements once again. Seems like the Asian markets are loving this as well, by the way. They're eating it all up. And we'll see what economic data we get for Monday. I genuinely don't know what's happening next week. I do remember CPI, PPI. CPI is coming out Tuesday, PPI Wednesday would help determine stuff with rate cuts. It seems like part of the movement as well, and I'll talk about this when we get to our news section in more detail, it has to do with the possibility of massive rate cuts, and I've talked about this before as well. Trump is calling for a 3% rate cut. He's expecting rates to be dropped to around 1%, like we saw COVID times, right? To make, that's if that does happen, the economy will explode in a good way, even more than what we're seeing right now. This is just the beginning, okay? If those rates do get cut by that significant margin. Now, I don't think they will. Of course, the Fed is only projecting 2, and they're projecting them later this year, not in this upcoming July 30th meeting. That's likely not to happen. We're not pricing that in. But I feel like the optimism that Jerome Powell might leave, somebody else might replace him, that person is going to do what Trump says, and Trump really wants huge rate cuts, because at these current rates, the country could go bankrupt, right? As it's costing America billions of dollars, is what Trump says. So he doesn't want that, obviously. And he also wants the economy to boom under his administration as one last little, for the people victory. We'll see what happens, ultimately. All right. Yeah, not much else happening with that. But I do want to talk about like what has been going on with Bitcoin specifically and its rise and its statistics, just to go back on what we've achieved so far. Remember, we survived a 50,000 Bitcoin spot market sell off from the German government. They sold it directly on the spot market, affecting prices like crazy for about over a month. 50,000 Bitcoins at the price of 54,000 was ultimately the last sell off that they did. Now the German wallet is practically empty except for some small donations with messages on those transactions saying stuff like HFSP, have fun staying poor, you made a mistake, what are you doing, aha, sucks to be you, stuff like that. And I mean, if they didn't sell that 50,000 Bitcoin when Bitcoin cost 54,000, they just missed $3.1 billion in profits if they had just held until today. Germany, you could have been $3.1 billion richer. And that number is just going to keep on increasing. It's going to be, I bet this is going to be something that they would regret forever. I genuinely do feel that way. Why? Even me, if I was a person that was very anti-Bitcoin, I seen Bitcoin at that time, 2024, at 75,000, 74,000, whatever that all-time high was. I would have waited, and with the knowledge, it's probably a lack of knowledge that they had, but with my knowledge at least, I know that selling on the spot market is just going to increase the supply. People get scared, demand drops, and prices drop as well. So that just, you're doing a disservice to everybody. You might as well just hold on to it and sell it at a later date. Whatever. It's just Bitcoin. Hey, if it rises, it does. If not, who cares about this money? Whatever. They decided to sell 50,000 Bitcoin at 54,000. How much is that? 1 billion? Probably. I'm probably wrong. Well, that's what we got, calculators. Please load. My computer's going to crash, isn't it? Calculator. 50,000 Bitcoins times 54,000 roughly. Yeah, 2.7 billion. Okay. What did I say? 120? I'm stupid. Yeah, 2.7 billion dollars. But they could have made more because those 50,000 Bitcoins at 118,000. I'm missing too much zeros there. Yeah, it's 5.9 billion. So 5.9 minus 2.7 billion equals... All right, thank you, calculator, for doing exactly the opposite of what I did. 5.9 minus 2.7. You'll get the math here. Please press enter. I hate this calculator, honestly. Yeah, 3.1, $3.2 billion in missed profits. Yeah, you guys messed up big time. Moving on. We also had this news from the previous couple of days that Jeff Bezos is selling his Amazon stock. He's been selling $665 million, and then 2 days later he sells another $108 million worth of his Amazon stock. I mean, fair enough. Amazon stock is at pretty high levels, I think, if we pull up the chart. Amazon. It is at all-time highs. No, almost. Not necessarily, but it's approaching its previous all-time high that it was before tariff stuff hit, right? February levels. So, sure, fair enough. But do you really need all that money? Anyway, selling off that Amazon stock and Bitcoin rising in price, we just flipped Amazon in market cap. Amazon has a market cap of 2.359 trillion. Bitcoin now has 2.360 trillion. So we're climbing up the leaderboard here. The next stop is Apple at 3 trillion market cap. Could you imagine Bitcoin with a $3 trillion market cap? That would be pretty good. Let me pull up I love doing this stuff just to kind of estimate how much we could have. What's the max, not max supply. What is the current supply of Bitcoin? 19 million? Really? Are you going to make me guess? I have this on CoinMarketCap. Yeah, 19.89. 19,890,000. Yep. And with a market cap of 3 trillion, give me the exact number. 3 trillion, 191 billion. million, thousand, hundred. Great. I don't know what these numbers mean. Did I do this math wrong? Am I supposed to divide? I think I was supposed to divide. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the market cap once again. Give me the market cap. 3,191. I'm always messing up these numbers, honestly. This is thousands, millions, billions. Give me one more triple zero. That's the trillions. Divide that by the market cap. Why am I so bad at math, especially live? Like, I swear this normally doesn't happen to me in real life. I promise you money. Yeah, you're looking at Bitcoin reaching 160,000 in price. That is possible. That is genuinely possible. Like, it can happen this year, literally. It can happen. What about if we reached the most valued company in the world? Literally, Nvidia was battling these three, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, earlier this year. It was losing its spot in the top three, right? If we're talking about companies here, right? Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. It was always Apple on top, Microsoft second, Nvidia third most of the time. Nvidia did reach top at some point before, but it didn't have a $4 trillion market cap. This is the first company, by the way, Nvidia, to reach a $4 trillion market cap. I think I wanted to talk about this before, but I never got to. Nvidia has actually been killing it recently with all the investment that it's been doing in the United States, and tariffs not really being a bad thing for them, and also just, benefiting the Americans in general. So it's been good for Nvidia, and they reached a $4 trillion market cap. They are now the most valued company in the world. With a $4 trillion market cap, okay, I will... 4031. Okay, I did not. 4031. This is 4 billion. That's 4 trillion. Divide by market cap. I mean, yeah, circulating supply of Bitcoin, 19,890. $200,000 per Bitcoin if we reach the market cap of Nvidia. And that is possible. Like, it is possible. If all this money, it's literally in four separate companies, that kind of money. And people are hearing about Bitcoin more and more. I keep on, like, I'm getting in touch with old connections once again with some people that I used to talk to or know. And like they're telling me, like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm investing and trading, whatever. And they're like, oh, cool. I'm starting to get into that stuff. I've been hearing about all this Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I do that too. I've been in it. Not really. I'm out of it right now. That's why I'm fully in alts right now. And it's dangerous though. Alts are dangerous because, hey, if Bitcoin doesn't keep up this momentum, if it stops, if this was the new top, 118,000, imagine if that's a cycle top. I would hate to see that. It's obviously not going to be. Like I showed you, this math that I'm showing you, although it's a bit clumsy, it works, and these numbers are possible. You could see Bitcoin at $202,664.65. That is possible, right? With a market cap of Nvidia, like, it's possible. And don't even talk about gold. $22 trillion. Bitcoin will be at $1 million. That's just easy. 10x, right? 2 trillion to 20 trillion. It's 10x. Simple math. Bitcoin price is 100,000. 10 times that, 1 million. There you go. There's your math. So this is possible. Bottom line. That's all I wanted to discuss about that. Okay. Pump.fun, the coin that I've invested in over here. I didn't put too much in it just because it is a little bit speculative and possibly a risky play, right? Because there will be more token unlocks and, could cause the price to drop. There's going to be airdrops to people who are entering early and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm still a bit skeptical with it, but I do know that Pump.fun will still be a good token and everything. They did announce that they have partnered with Scan, which is a wallet tracker that monitors the activities of top on-chain traders and provides real-time transactions, token profit and loss, leaderboard ranking their performance, etc. The integration will not only enable better products for both Coalscan and Pump Fund users, but allow for totally new experiences that will change the entire on-chain trading landscape. And yeah, that's pretty good. It's literally like Hyperliquid with its Hyperscan or Ethereum with Etherscan, you know, stuff where you could track all these transactions live, right? That's how we always determine what James Wynn does, or these big Bitcoin whales that short at 40x with millions of dollars in their pockets using USDC on Hyperliquid, things like that, right? That's how we track all that stuff. I shared this before as well. I don't remember if I shared this specifically though. So Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, I guess, um, who's now no longer doing that stuff. So I guess he's got to keep his mind busy doing other stuff. He actually made an app for texting via Bluetooth, which I said, okay, it could be useful, could not be useful, because like you got to be in range with somebody, and I mean, if I'm 300, not even 30 meters away or whatever the range was from somebody, like I'll literally just walk up to them and talk to them instead of texting them. But I guess it could be, it could make sense in some very, very small situations. If you guys don't have cell service or whatever the case may be, and you're, you know, close to each other, you're working with each other, you're at school with each other, whatever the case is, could work. But apparently you can pay, you can't send Bitcoin transactions via Bluetooth. That's pretty cool, without internet. It technically is possible to relay signaled Bitcoin transactions, or eCash, via Bluetooth mesh networks until they reach internet-connected nodes for broadcast. That is interesting. But they did report that BitChat, which is the app that was created by Jack Dorsey, it's for messaging only with no Bitcoin payment feature yet, so it could be conceptual. I mean, that's just the future, I think, though. If you can send transactions via Bluetooth, it's literally the same as like handing people cash, right? And you know, the government can't control you paying cash to somebody, and they'll never know about the transaction as well. That's the power of what Bitcoin is doing as well. It could work. It could work. I am excited for that. So I wanted to mention about it. We also got this bullish news, which helped with the rise. Form 1099-DA was designed to require crypto brokers, including DeFi platforms, to report users' digital asset transactions to the IRS for tax compliance, and now it is gone. The U.S. Treasury officially removes... Why did I say official? The U.S. Treasury officially removes crypto broker reporting rules, which is great, right? We're not having the IRS creeping and peeping into what we're transacting. So that's really, really good. I guess, but you still got to be responsible with it. Trump posted this, of course, a celebratory post, I guess, saying tech stocks, industrial stocks, NASDAQ, you're hitting all-time high, record highs. Crypto is through the roof. Nvidia's up 47% since Trump tariffs. Like I said, it's been the most valuable company. USA is taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. The country is now back. A great credit. The Fed should rapidly lower the rate to reflect the strength. The USA should be at the top of the list. There is no inflation, virtually. And he also put Panikin's hardest hit, right? And they're posting these memes, of course, if you've seen this one. Like, usually there's like a background of like the world exploding or something, and this guy just closes the curtain because he's so busy on his computer watching the charts. That's literally us when World War III was happening with Israel and Iran. But, you know, now, of course, everything is on the rise and hitting all-time highs. It's great. It's good stuff. And, of course, this is a call out to Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Now, this came out, U.S. Federal Housing News release. The chairman of the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency releases a statement claiming that Fed Chair Powell is considering resigning. And that will be really good. It's really good. It says that the market didn't really move too much, but I feel like you see the movements in crypto. It does make sense. The only dismissive thing about this, though, I would say, Um, Bill Pult is the one who published it, posted this article claiming that Powell is considering resigning, and the source of the article is himself. So it's literally a source trust me bro, in other words, right? Yeah, he's sourcing an article that sources himself. So that really didn't make too much sense. But still, the fact that this could be a possibility, it's still really good, right? So I'm hopeful for it. I mean, if Powell leaves, Trump puts somebody else better, maybe Scott Bessent himself, pro crypto, reducing interest rates, everything is going to explode. We also had a Fed board member, Christopher Waller, saying that the Federal Reserve can consider cutting interest rates this month. Who knows? Maybe all this pressure that Trump is creating, it is getting to Jerome Powell. The same way all that pressure that Trump was putting on Justin Trudeau, our previous prime minister in Canada, on the 51st state, Governor Trudeau. Oh, I spoke with Governor Trudeau the other day. Oh, Canada 51st state, it would be great. The Golden Dome, the lower taxes. Oh, what a beautiful state it would be. Stuff like that. And it really got to Justin Trudeau, and ultimately so did the people, honestly. Yeah, they didn't approve much of Justin Trudeau, that he ended up resigning. And maybe that same kind of pressure is being hit on Jerome Powell. And maybe he's next to go, right? President of the Fed. We'll see. There's still a possibility that the rates can get cut. Now that we're talking about rates specifically, I'll show you the percentages that we've got. There's still a high percent chance that we will maintain rates where they are 94% chance, but a 5% chance that, hey, what if we do get a rate cut? This will explode markets in a good way. Hey, we'll see. All right. And I promised I would talk a bit more about the Jeffrey Epstein case, since it was just very recent the night I first covered it, and there wasn't a lot of news yet. We now got a bit more news and even more resignation threats. So this is going to be interesting. Remember the CCTV footage that got released, the unedited raw footage claiming that, see, there's nothing going on here, and, whoever thinks that Jeffrey Epstein was killed, it was obviously a suicide because nobody entered his cell, and here's the video footage of it. But people noticed, hey, there is 1 full minute missing from 11:58 to 12 a.m. at midnight. What happened in that 1 minute? Of course, it's a very specific number, but the fact that, 11:59, the full minute of that went missing, people are starting to question the authenticity of this. So they asked Pam Bondi when she was with Trump and everybody around it, talking mainly about the Texas floodings and stuff like that. Apparently, there's been some really bad floodings over there. They asked her, like, what do you got to say about the whole minute that's missing? Well, she said, well, every night the videos get reset. It's a 24-hour cycle, and part of that process, 1 minute does get lost, but we will look for backup footage to, prove to you guys that 1 minute nothing happened, as well as the rest of the time that on that day, right? Which some people are questioning, like, okay, well, does that even exist? Does the surveillance system cuts out a minute of footage every night? Like, that's a bit suspicious. And you're recording a prison cell. You should have that running 24/7, right? Whatever. That was her little excuse. And then they even asked Trump about it, like, okay, well, you're also contradicting yourself with things. And before Pam Bondi was going to answer, the attorney general, by the way, Trump's like, okay, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? You guys got to stop. Why did I say stock? He's been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this guy? Do you want to waste time? Can't believe we're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this. He did campaign on this release, to be honest. He did say he would release 9/11 files, JFK, which, yeah, that was done. Epstein, which he said, maybe I will. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, whatever. And then he's now releasing TLDR. If you didn't know, there's no issue with Epstein other than he sex trafficked kids, and there's no There's no evidence of blackmail or use of, video footage against famous people and things like that. And he did kill himself. Nobody went into the cell to kill him. And yeah, that was the conclusion of it. So what about all the victims? So what about everything else? So what about the times when you guys said, oh, you're reviewing so much footage, there's so much footage about this whole case, there's so many names that you guys have to block out. What about the first time you guys released some stuff? It just doesn't make any sense. So Trump is covering it up. The whole cabinet is in it. It's very clear. People aren't going to let it go just because he tries to change the subject. And yeah, we still feel like we deserve some more answers to this. And it gets shadier than this. Also, by the way, what if the 1 minute footage missing was this? That would be pretty hilarious. So they're claiming that that prison video, some tech nerds found that it was edited with Adobe Premiere Pro, stitched from 2 clips, saved 4 times, and has a random 1 minute gap at midnight. And also the prison cameras were broken that exact night. Like, it all just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, what about the raw footage? I also currently live at the White House press secretary. You'll notice that she wasn't wearing her cross. Maybe she was lying about the case as well. The lawyer as well, Alan Dershowitz, he says that he has seen the list. He says that there's everybody on it, politicians, celebrities. He swears he's read it all. This is former Epstein's lawyer saying, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed to protect individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge in cases and I can't disclose what I know. Hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them. And now we're supposed to pretend like none of that stuff exists, like the White House says. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, right? There's clearly a cover-up, and it was very poorly handled, and it looks really bad for the Trump administration ultimately. And it's gotten to this point over here. Kash Patel, this is director of the FBI, is saying, if Pam Bondi stays as Attorney General, I can't work here anymore, and I'm going to resign. A source close to the Department of Justice says Kash Patel wants Pam Bondi gone and may resign, and so will Dan Bongino, by the way, if he also leaves. So these are 2 people from FBI going to be resigning as well. I think Dan Bongino is FBI. Is Dan Bongino from FBI? I think he's deputy. No, he's just a conservative political commentator. And, oh, he did serve as deputy director of FBI. Okay, I was right. He is deputy director. The same source says there is frustration growing over the Epstein documents that Bondi hasn't released, meaning that they are clearly hiding something from us, and these guys are going to just leave if, the administration doesn't do the right thing and release all the files, right? There's also that claim, if you forgot, from Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files and that's why he won't release them. It's starting to sound every day like whether he knew anything or not, that claim might be true. And it just, like I said, it doesn't look good at all for the whole administration. So, yeah. Sketchy stuff. And, well, speaking of Elon Musk, of course, he is also planning to make that American party that we all know about. And Trump says, oh, I don't care. And, Republicans will probably even benefit from it because those third parties are never successful is what he's ultimately boiling it down to. But Elon Musk confirms that exposing the Epstein files will be a high priority for the American party just to try to get other people to vote for him, right? Like, okay, Trump won't release it. Why would you guys even trust Trump anymore? He's clearly hiding something. There's no mistake to be made on it. If you guys elect me, well, not Elon Musk specifically, but like, whoever campaigns for him as a presidential candidate, because Elon Musk can't. But anyway, the American Party will be releasing those Epstein files raw and clear and without any lies. That could incentivize a lot of people to, join that stuff. While we're on the topic of Elon Musk and Tesla and Grok 4 got announced. It's already out now. And Grok will be coming to Tesla vehicles soon. It will now also, the be powered with this AI, very powerful AI. I do enjoy Grok, and it is a good thing. Grok 4 is the first time in my experience that an AI has been able to solve difficult, real-world engineering questions where the answers cannot be found anywhere on the internet or in books, and it will get much better, is what he says. I do want to check if Tesla stock rose at all. Should have. Okay, well, it didn't. Or was... No, this was yesterday. Yeah, so markets were open. I mean, fair enough. Oh, I'm on a weekly chart, that's why. There we go. Well, it's kind of relatively there. It's still going to take some time for Tesla to recover, of course. Mainly why we have been dropping with Tesla specifically is the fact that people don't like Elon Musk getting involved in politics. They just want his full attention on Tesla and Grok and SpaceX and everything that he's supposed to be. He's a CEO, right? He's not a politician. And that's what the investors are mainly focused on, right? All right. Do you want to give a bit of an update on Ukraine, Russia as well? Trump says that he will be still sending more weapons to Ukraine, of course, and he also has a major statement regarding Russia on Monday that he will be announcing. So we'll see what that is all about. This also came out. I've delayed talking about this. I didn't have too much information, but I feel like it's something I should talk about anyway. It has to do with Polymarket. Now we're on the subject of Ukraine. There is a full story on the Polymarket UMA scandal exposing how whales manipulate the market while Polymarket stays silent. That is not a good look for Polymarket, of course. Founders of UMA. What is UMA? It's a blockchain oracle. Optimistic oracle. It's an oracle. Say that there's no evidence of manipulation, say the founders. Meanwhile, the article itself confirms that 95% of UMA tokens are held by whales. These are people who would validate the results, you know, to keep it integral, to make sure that the results are valid, right? You can verify it on any DeFi analytics platform. It's not a free market. It's a coordinated high-stakes fraud. Even the authorities of crypto media now see what's happening. The world is watching. Yeah. Here's a full breakdown of it. It's going to take me a while to go through, and I do want to go through it. So let's talk about it. So Polymarket let people bet on whether Zelensky, president of Ukraine, wore a suit before July 2025. This had to do, of course, with the NATO summit that Trump went to visit and obviously discussed all this stuff. And ultimately, he is going to give more weapons to Ukraine, things like that. So it's the same bit of nothing because Ukraine and Russia war is still technically ongoing. He shows up in a jacket, shirt, and pants. It looks like a suit. The media said it's a suit, but Polymarket's own Twitter said it is not a suit. Because you can vote on random stuff on Polymarket, right? You can bet on just the most absurd things, like will Jesus come back, or will an asteroid hit us, or will the world end, will World War III start, will Zelensky wear a suit at the summit? Because there's that whole joke of, oh, Zelensky never dresses up appropriately when Trump's involved, kind of deal, right? So maybe this time he would change. Anyways, the decision got flipped. $150 million to decide what a suit is sounds funny, but it's not, and this is where the cracks showed. UMA protocol, the oracle, Polymarkets from Polymarket, lets anyone who holds enough UMA tokens become a validator, so it could be anybody. The more tokens you hold, the more your voting power, the more voting power you get. If you vote against the majority, you will lose money. If you vote with the majority, you will get paid. In theory, that creates incentive for honest votes. But in practice, you can see how whales with the most to gain decide what is true and what is not true, ultimately, the outcome of it. That model works fine when you're deciding things like protocol upgrades or mission schedules, but it completely falls apart when you're validating real-world outcomes. If the people with the biggest bags get to define what a suit is, or who won an election, or what a price of an asset closed at, the system isn't decentralized truth. It's just a new form of centralized power dressed in a token wrapper. Validating tasks like these, things that define payouts and settle bets, they should never be token weighted. Eigenlayer-based oracles take a different route for validating tasks. That's why. Every validator should get exactly one vote regardless of how much they've staked. Operators and those setups have equal voting weight. The goal there is correctness, not capital efficiency, and that's exactly how it should be for high-stakes validation. Polymarket is one of the most important crypto apps out there right now. I'll stick with it through this mess, but seeing this happen in real time is honestly brutal. If UMA doesn't fix this validation model, it's only going to get worse. His competitors like Kalshi and Try Limitless, they're going to eat well there. Kalshi's already using Stork Oracle, which gets its Oracle security from Omni FDN, an AVS setup with way more robust guarantees, and more importantly, a system where validation of tasks doesn't depend on token-weighted individuals. If you don't fix the Oracle layer, the app collapses, no matter how good the UI or volume is. Right now, Polymarket's biggest threat isn't regulation or competition, it's rot at the foundation. You want to build markets on reality, then the reality needs to be unviable. Right now, it's not. That is the big, little big scandal that's going on with Polymarket, right? Obviously, you shouldn't allow people with more money to actually get to decide what the results of whatever the case is or whatever people are betting on, right? I agree. It should be an equal vote for no matter how much you have staked in it. So, yeah. I mean, I kind of get the point as to why they would allow you to do this, right? The more you stake, the more power you have. That way we get more money. But it's like, okay, you're allowing whales to manipulate the outcomes then, which it's not good. Anyway, that's all we have to say about that. We got a 35% tariff going to be coming on to Canada. I think I probably mentioned that because I didn't find the news on it, but I just remembered off the top of my head. Trump sent the letter to Carney, and that's going to take effect August 1. And the CBC just reported that Carney will not be meeting with his cabinet about Trump's 35% tariffs until next Tuesday, so he just doesn't care. He's staying on vacation. This, by his own words, is... Wait. Oh, yeah. He did mention that this is the biggest crisis in Canadian history, the whole tariff stuff, and then he's still on vacation, doesn't care enough to address it. It's like, come on. Prime Minister's vacationing through a trade war. Why do we elect this guy? I didn't. Ondo Finance saying that stocks and ETFs will be coming out soon on Ethereum. Really good for RWA. This is also another thing I wanted to talk about is the Pudgy Penguins. These little fellas over here. I'm pretty sure these are like Van Eck's little mascot, I guess. CBOE and Canary funds file amended 19B4 for Pengu ETF. They just added a couple more stuff, getting ready to come out with a Pengu ETF. And this is a meme coin, or whatever. I don't even, would you consider this a meme coin? I would. It's just a mascot of Van Eck, right? Pengu. And it's been having a decent rise, 22% today itself. Switch to a line chart for me. In a month, it's gone up how much? 113%? Yeah, pretty good growth. In 1 week, 43%. Today alone, 22%. Not too bad at all. Yeah, what is this about? It's been featured in ETF commercials. It's an icon. Pudgy Penguin fan base outside of crypto. See this. Yeah, it's about a meme. Good vibes. Believe in Pengu. Believe in the prophecy. I don't know. I've seen Van Eck with this thing. Am I wrong? Van Eck. Yeah, literally, it's the Pudgy Penguin profile picture, and you're gonna notice this everywhere, right? So the Pudgy Penguins also started rising today because of something that Coinbase did. This guy over here, Alex, also a Pudgy Penguin fan, I guess, and part of the Coinbase team now. He posted this saying a DM with Coinbase. This is the original Coinbase logo, by the way, saying, "How many likes for me to take over your Twitter for an hour?" 100 likes is what they said. No, 100K, not only 100, and it says too late. And of course, this post got more than 100 likes, 1,000 likes anyway. But they're asking for 100K, which didn't happen. But anyway, they gave access to the Coinbase, and Guess who is on it now? So then he changed the PFP, the profile picture, to a Pudgy Penguin for Coinbase. And Coinbase, of course, is the biggest exchange, one of the biggest, right next to Binance, of course. And everybody is seeing this, and of course the Pudgy Penguins, of course, also replying like, "This is goated, this is great, it's a big boom," and that caused Pengu to rise pretty significantly today. All this stuff going on here. I've shorted it over here. Look at that. How much of a rebel I am. But yeah, I should have longed this. I think it's going to be a really good meme coin in this cycle, alongside Pepe maybe, and I don't know what other meme coin suggestions I've got. But it's not just them, it's also MoonPay also creating this Pudgy Penguin profile picture version for themselves as well. So it's taking over. There you go. And that's all I have to talk about for today. Pump.fm is dropping. It's fine. Bitcoin's still at 117,648. This is really cool numbers to see for Bitcoin. I really want to see 120,000. That would be really, really cool. It's going to happen soon. Hey, I showed you those maths with the companies. If we equate that, like, we're already surpassing Amazon. I mean, fair enough. Jeff Bezos did sell a couple of his shares, but who knows? Maybe Bezos was selling his shares to buy Bitcoin. That would be pretty cool. And obviously, honestly, there are probably, you know, billionaires secretly loading up on Bitcoin. M2 money supply, by the way, is still going through the roof. I don't think I have the... Do I have the chart for that? Let me look it up. M2, if I just find M2, search up M2, it probably will show up. Yeah. No, May 9. 11 hours ago. Okay, this is the most recent one that I've got. Bitcoin is catching up to this. Look at that room that we have for growth. It's still there. With an offset of 84 days, it's still looking good. People are saying maybe for a 90-day offset, it looks a little better. Yeah, I still see the correlation nonetheless, yeah. All right. There's always going to be a bit of deviation from it, but usually it does follow it relatively close. So as long as M2 money supply keeps on rising, even for the month of August, we're still going to be really, really far up. I have faith in all that. And I will not be fooled to buy Bitcoin over here, of course. Are we even overbought yet? Yeah, we are. So now is not the time to buy. And a correction could be here soon. Although don't underestimate that, because first time we've become very, very far overbought. I mean, we've stayed high like this the first time we hit 90,000. No, this is not the first time. This is what I'm talking about. First time we hit 80,000, 90,000 in 2024 November. Like, we stayed up and we kept on rising, right? So we still got room to rise if we're going to get a similar movement like that. Like, we could stay high and keep on rising. Maybe even following this uptrend. That could absolutely happen for a while longer. We'll see how it plays out. All right. That'll be all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow. And what is happening tomorrow? Nothing's happening tomorrow. I don't know. We'll find something to talk about anyway. All right. It's 10 p.m.